Prior to going out on a bike ride, you want to check your bike over to make sure it's safe for the ride. We use the M-Check. This starts at the derailleur, moving up to the saddle, down to the bottom bracket, up to the handlebars, and down to the front wheel in the shape of an M. During the M-Check, it's always good to check your frame over for any wear or damage as you make your way through. We start at the derailleur, checking it over for any wear or damage. We'd also check the cable to make sure that it's got an end cap, it's not frayed or worn. We move up to the chain, checking it for kinks, making sure that it's true. We then check the cassette over for any damage. It's always good to do a run through of the gears to make sure that they're moving correctly. We then move on to the hub. Give the hub a wobble, make sure there's no movement in the wheel. Checking your skewer for tension, and if it's knotted or bolted, using a spanner just to tighten it up to the right degree. We then move up to the tyre. Check the tyre over for incorrect wear, making sure it's not bald or worn with any cracks, making sure the beading is correct. We'd also check the tyre pressure with a pressure gauge. At this point, we'd also check the brakes. On a rim brake, you'd make sure there's smooth contact on the rims and that they wear evenly as you pull the brake. On a disc brake like this one, we'd sight down the caliper and make sure that there's even wear between the pads. Then we'd move up to the saddle. You'd check that your saddle was straight. We'd also check that there was no movement in the item and that your reflectors fitted correctly. Next, we'd move down to the bottom bracket, checking that there's free rotation of the crank, checking the pedal for any wear or damage, check for movement in the bottom bracket while giving it a wobble. At this point, we'd check to make sure that the chain was moving smoothly. So I'm taking up the frame and just giving the crankshaft a twist. We then move up to the handlebars. At this point, we take hold of the brakes, give them a squeeze, make sure that there's a good amount of adjustment in them. At this point, we check to make sure that the gear levers and the brake levers are tight, as well as any accessories like belt or reflector. You'd also check for any movement in the headset. You can do this. We're placing the front wheel between your legs and wobbling the handlebars to see if there's any movement. After this, we'd come back down to the wheel, starting with the tyre, checking for any wear, baldness, making sure that it's at the right pressure. Check the rim over for damage and that there's free movement. We then check the rim brakes to make sure that there's good activation movement on there as we pull the brake lever. On a disc brake like this, we'd sight down the disc brake to make sure that the caliper has even adjustment. We'd also give the hub a wobble to make sure there was no movement. You then move down to your skewer, making sure that's tight, or to make sure that your trap bolts are tightened on your axle. That's your M-Check. It's always good to perform the M-Check prior to your ride to make sure you have a safe journey.